Guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm going to give you guys my breakdown of the Marvel Avengers beta so far. I've played not that long because you really didn't need to play that long considering they kind of sped up the breakdown process for us, or the progression process for us, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that as quick as it was in this demo. But let's take a look at some of the stuff that was inside here to begin with. Basically, the marketplace gave us availability to a bunch of cosmetic items, nameplates, outfits, and emotes. I definitely like some of the outfits inside the game. They're definitely going to probably sell well in that regards. I'm dying to see what the currency exchange is going to look like. They have some kind of unique outfits inside here that I cannot think of a comic run where these things came from. Kamala Khan has probably some of the most interesting outfits to me in the game, simply because they are like fan service kind of costumes. I would call them. She's basically wearing like costumes that are pretty much like tributes to like Thor for this one. Some of them, like this is just her outfits right here, Ms. Marvel and so forth, and then you see like a little Tony Stark one or whatever. She's probably one of the more interesting characters in the game in terms of skill sets, at least from the beta that they had. At least from the beta, but the beta kind of hinders her, in my opinion, quite a bit. It hinders her and it kind of hinders Hulk, mostly because every instance that you join in on a mission, you're kind of forced into these closed-in bunker spaces. And when you have characters as big as Kamala Khan and Hulk, it kind of doesn't really work. I mean, to be honest with you, it didn't really work for Iron Man as well either, because you kind of lose out on that flight feeling when you're inside those closed spaces. Inside the harm room, it wasn't that big of a deal because you don't have as much environmental like decoration. But inside the actual missions, every time you have to go down into a bunker, which is every single mission, you kind of get this feeling Hulk is too big for that area. I mean, I like the way it looks when he's in that area, but it didn't lend itself to the characters in terms of like being able to get the most out of those appeals. Hulk has quite a few looks inside the marketplace. They're really interesting. So I'm pretty sure most people are going to want his Joe Fix-It outfit, which is this isn't it. This was one of the costumes that's just inside the marketplace as a legendary outfit. I didn't like it quite as much. I do like the Super Fit outfit that's here inside the marketplace. That looks good. But I think most people are going to want to get into the Joe Fix-It type outfit and some of the other ones. The outfits that they have inside the game, they're really, really cool looking. They're definitely highly detailed, and they're definitely going to be money grabbers. So let's say 1,400, I don't know what these coins are or whatever, or in the game currency, 1,400 is maybe $10 a uni or something like that. It's gonna be, I can see people spending that kind of money. The question is that I really didn't quite understand, and I've been trying to figure it out, is why the uniforms are broken down into rarity. So you'll have legendary outfits, epic outfits, rare outfits, common. They don't quite make sense to me. I get it for the nameplates and stuff like that. I mean, I really don't get it for the nameplates, to be honest with you. But yeah, what it is. So the other thing that they're selling, obviously, any live service game nowadays is selling emotes and things. But I absolutely love the detail that they took for some of these emotes. Like you see this one right here, it's a sniff test that they do, and I just love the detail. Like you can see the look on Hulk's face when he's like smelling his own pits and reacting to it. It's very animated. It's pretty cool. I don't know why you would want that emote, but I could see people purchasing those different emotes. They're pretty cool. So let's talk about the actual gameplay, because you're going to want to, like, everybody's going to want to probably purchase any of these things. The biggest strength of the game is the property. that the game is a Marvel's title and it has Marvel faces and so forth like that, you know, heroes that you're going to be getting. That is the strength of the game, is being able to see some of the beloved characters that you know you kind of either grew up, well, pretty much probably everybody in this day probably has grown up with Marvel since the movies, but seeing these characters in there and on screen, you know, using their abilities and interacting with other players with their versions of the characters and so forth like that, is definitely the high point of the game. That is definitely the strength. You are at all-time high with that. The detail in the characters are really, really good, which was a huge concern for me when they did the original way back 2 years ago. The character models just looked terrible. The hair in the game still looks terrible, but it's not as bad as it was back then. So they've definitely done some improvements there. Now, the biggest thing to me is going to be to break down towards the characters, and let's look at some of the characters. So this is my Kamala Khan. I don't really have Kamala leveled up because I really didn't get into playing her. After I played through as Hulk, I kind of was like, okay, if he is this way, then Kamala's going to be worse. You see I have her at 15 power and level 1. So in the beta, you can pretty much go as high as level 15, and then 45 is the power cap or whatever. Your level is just generated by your skills, and your level dictates how many skill points you get. So for every level you get one skill point that you can put into one of their trees, and you can invest. Each character pretty much basically have a light attack, heavy attack, and then a ranged attack skill tree, and then they have a skill tree that's kind of dependent on their abilities. Kamala and Hulk specifically, this is like a large investment skill tree because these are like their intrinsic abilities that boost them up, whereas a character like Iron Man doesn't necessarily have an intrinsic ability tree because his stuff is based on light attacks, heavy attacks, and then the missile lasers and stuff like that or whatever. So rockets, and so you're getting into that kind of thing with Iron Man. But for Kamala and Hulk, you kind of get a lot of points going inside here inside skill. So you can pretty much take a look at your character. You can see the stats, and you basically have stats for might, precision, proficiency, valor, resolve, and intensity. Each of those skills obviously, you know, generating something different towards each of them. So like might is giving you melee damage. So for somebody like Kamala and Hulk, you're probably going to want to build and spec into might with some of your gear pieces. For Iron Man, though, you might want to spec into precision. Proficiency is critical chances, perk chances, and so forth like that. Your valor, you can see along the right hand side over here what they are. To me, for me playing as Hulk, the most important stat that I found was inside there was pretty much might and resilience. It's kind of really weird when you get down into the gear to kind of try to spec into certain things. So like your gear basically comes in all forms of rarity, where you basically get common gear, rare gear, legendary gear, and then epic gear, or epic gear and then legendary gear. So for like Kamala, for instance, you can see on here that you basically have your gear power level, which is generating to your average gear level score, or power score is given that towards there. And then you have, like, on to the right of here, you can see what the stat that is boosting is. So whether it's boosting your resilience, your precision, your might, or whatever, is boosting those stats. Beneath that, you can see specifically what gear perks you're getting from that specific piece of equipment. Whether it's like for her right here, you can see it says lightweight protection, chance for light combo finishers, grant a defense boost. And then you can see if you invest into that piece of gear by gathering resources, you can boost it up and get another perk that's there. So for instance, power attacks expel a dose of PIM particles. I've noticed over the course of play that you can have your attacks have attributes or attribute damage types to them, where whether it was either cosmic, gamma, PIM particles, or something like that. And basically your attacks would be imbued with those types of things. You're pretty much really aiming for this epic gear. I didn't get any legendary gears to drop on any of my playthroughs, so I mean, I wasn't really particularly looking for it, especially considering that the character wasn't these characters aren't going to carry over. But then you can see, like, for instance, your Epic gear has 3 perks that's inside of it. The one thing that I did notice inside here that I'm really trying to quite wrap my head around is that there's a gear perk rating inside there, and you can see it basically has 1 to 5 star ratings. I'm not exactly sure what this is because I've had uh, epic gear on my character, and it did not make sense to me, the gear rating, because in terms of me building the character, specifically with Hulk, I didn't quite get it, didn't understand it. I can't change my character from here willy-nilly, which is really, really weird. But let me load in here. Should be able to load into a match. Well, you can't load into any matches inside the system, which is really, really weird. There's like something's either wrong with the matchmaking, or I don't know. Basically, you have a couple of different match types: drop zone, elimination, drop zone. Basically, in drops, I'm going to be honest with you guys. My take on the game is that this is pretty much Anthem 2.0 with a Marvel skin over it. That doesn't make it bad, that doesn't make it good. What it does do is that it gives you an idea of the type of missions you're going to be running. They're very repetitive. You pretty much are boiled down to eliminations at terminals or terminal defense. So for instance, inside your assault drop zone, you're pretty much running and probably going to go target a bunch of enemies, and then you're going to go kill those enemies in that area. Elimination drop zone, pretty much the same exact thing. Sabotage threat sector, you're pretty much going in and doing terminal defense. You're going to try to sabotage some computers, and you got to stand by them while Jarvis does his thing and hacks their computer system or whatever. So you're either attacking terminals or you're defending terminals while you're defending against waves of enemies. Now, that in of itself, being a game type design, isn't a bad thing, except that with the 20 or so missions that they've given us inside the beta, the environments are all the same. What I mean by that is it goes back to the point of what I was saying earlier, where every mission that they gave us in the beta literally takes you into an outside area, whether that's forest, jungle, whatever you want to call it, or city exterior, and you immediately then end up going into a bunker, and once you get into that bunker, everything looks the same. I mean, you definitely have a map, and unfortunately I will tell you this, some of the map layouts are exactly the same, like the routes are exactly the same. So once you load in, you kind of already know, and it's made even more clear to you when you look at the map layouts, because there are puzzles within inside of missions, so that way you can unlock hidden areas to get gearbox drop tests. And those there's like these little interactive things that you have to touch in a time sequence in order to open up the door to get to these chests. Well, once you get used to the layouts of the different places, you kind of notice the layouts are the same, because you almost notice that the placement of these places are exactly the same. So there's not a lot of variety in that sort. So the game isn't, it's every game can get repetitive. Every single game can get repetitive. Is whether or not you're having fun doing it, and how long it is before you notice how repetitive it is towards you. And in this game, my one concern is, will it be like Anthem, where you only have 6 or so characters, and then you build those characters, and then you're just kind of stuck into that game loop of just rebuilding them? It's pretty much going to be on you whether or not you feel that that's repetitive or not. But it felt to me within the first, demo phase of it, that it felt repetitive, because I played as Iron Man, and I played as Hulk, and it definitely got to the point where it felt repetitive. So this is the roster screen. Loading in is kind of weird. I'm hoping that this is going to change, because you can't pre-select your character prior to loading into the game, meaning I can't set who my main character is. It's just weird. It is really weird. I'm assuming most of this is just like a breakdown from there, so take it as you are. But so here we are, you have the character, and you can see, for instance, like here goes an epic gear, and here goes an epic gear. They're both kind of rated the same, except when you actually look at it, here we go. So let's see. The one that I currently have equipped is gear rating of 2. The one that's not equipped has a gear perk score of 4. But then we can look at the different ones down here, and you can see the chance of melee critical attacks, granted heroic charge burst for all heroics, and then chance melee critical attacks, granted charge barrage burst over there. It's the same exact thing. Your next boost is an increased status damage for grab damage. Now, for me, I was playing quite a bit as a grab type character. Hulk really just seems in his element when he's grabbing somebody from the floor and Loki smashing them. But you know, then you could look at this over here. So it says increased status damage from grab damage, and then you see on the other side is heavy power attacks trigger a burst of plasma damage. It seems as if though the score goes up regardless whenever these attribute types are applied to a gear. I'm not sure exactly why, because when I was playing the game, you kind of don't really see those attribute damages take effect. You pretty much kill everything before any of those things seem like they become come into play. So it's kind of weird in that regard. So along with the character gear scores, you also have slots for major artifacts, minor artifacts, which are pretty much ISO 8. So if you've ever played Marvel Heroes Omega, Marvel Future Fight, pretty much any of the newer games, I can't remember if Marvel Ultimate Alliance had these, but ISO, I remember the old Marvel Alliance game on Facebook too had these, where it was just ISO 8s, and ISO 8s are always equipped so that way you get, you know, attributes per ISO 8. So you would have like purple, yellow, blue, you know, rainbow color ISOs, and each of those ISOs would grant you a different type of proficiency perk. So like you can see inside here, like I've got a purple ISO because I didn't have any other ones, and this one was just one that I found. It gives me a proficiency of 17, and this one gives me a might of 10. Now I wish I had a might epic ISO, because that'd be great, right? But I don't, so that's what it is. But you can also notice that this ISO is giving me damage reduction from all cryo damage attacks. I can tell you right now, cryo damage is freaking annoying. It's a stun in place kind of skill where it just freezes around the screen and kind of builds up over time. So it's really annoying. You can see that the cosmetics here, like I said, you have different cosmetics. This is the Joe Fixit outfit that was inside the game. I'm not a really big fan of that style of look, but then Hulk has like a few others. Now the really cool part about these outfits is that they seem to be unlocked from what I would consider a battle pass. So I don't know if this battle pass is going to be sold for, you know, money or what, but basically you know, works like any battle pass. You do your dailies and weekly missions, and the points that you get from doing those missions get you levels towards completing things. And as you can see, pretty much all of those outfits are available to you. You're also unlocking things like credits for the currency, and then units. Units are basically the in-game currency for in-game vendors. So this would be cool to see to me, because obviously there's probably a lot locked out from the game, but you know, we didn't get to see any in-game vendors inside here, so that'd be pretty cool. You also get resource bundles, nameplates, emotes, resources. There's just quite a bit that you're getting from these battle passes. So I'm going to assume that the battle pass are going to be sold, because why else would you just give Joe Fixit the legendary outfit for, you know, perfect free? Because you know there's going to probably be a lot of people that want that outfit. But I really like the challenge card system. It's really kind of cool, because I'm not going to lie, I kind of wail out a little bit when I play games, so I kind of typically like to have those battle passes. It gives me some other feeling of like I'm working towards something, and that's kind of cool, as long as the battle pass isn't like, you know, ridiculous. You know, like Call of Duty's battle pass for their seasons is pretty cool. Marvel Future Fight and put a battle pass in theirs that I don't quite feel. You know, you had 3 tiers of the battle pass, legendary and so forth like that, and you know, it just cost ad nauseum. But so I really like that. Now this is a really cool part to me. I absolutely love this part of the game, which is collections. You can basically, in your journeys, you know, you have the typical the collection codex, like your library for enemies you face, and you see that all the time in the game. So as you fight an enemy type, you discover information about them. Really, really cool. The intelligence one is one of those things that to me is just like that extra nice little touch that makes me want to rely on Crystal Dynamics and say these guys are probably going to be doing a really good job with this game, where it's literally audio files that give you in-depth information into the game world. So think of them as if though you were playing like Dark Souls or something like that, and you found an item, and then that item had a bit of history and lore inside of it, or whatever that you can read. That's pretty much what these intelligence audio files are. I really like them. The audio systems that were coming from them,
you are the second in command of the
they're just amazing to me. I really enjoyed that little touch.
You could clarify in Captain
the
Rogers'
comics.
absence, who
Oh
speaks
my
for the
god,
Avengers?
I absolutely love this.
We never had a formalized plan for
So
what
we've
would
had
happen.
comic cards and things like
can
that
do my
in
best
other
to
games,
speak on
right? And
behalf
I'm
of
sorry
the
the
others.
audio's playing in the back. I pressed play. I forgot
Cap.
that it's just going to play completely out or whatever.
Only Steve could have truly spoken for all
But you
of
get
us.
the idea with the audio file playing. It's really, really cool. Now, the comic cards, we've had this as well in other games like Future Fight and Marvel Heroes Omega and other games like that as well, where you would collect comic cards, right? And these comic cards basically give you bonuses, stat bonuses to your character or your overall account usually. All right, and so like for instance, you can see here I collected this Thor the God Butcher comic. This was a sweet ass run from Jason Aaron and Asad Ribic that they did, where Thor is facing Gore the God Butcher, who is basically in possession of the Black Necro sword, and he's just traveling throughout the 9 realms and killing gods. Asgardians, Olympians, he's killing gods. He's literally just on a murdering rampage, and Thor is facing him throughout time. If you haven't read this comic and you're a Thor fan, pick it up. I absolutely love this comic cover. I actually have it signed. J. Michael Straczynski. This was when Thor returned. Oliver Coipel. I know I'm butchering that name, and Eric Morales, I believe it was. They wrote this when Thor basically made his return after Asgard fell. Asgard returned into Oklahoma, kind of deal like this. But as you can see, like the stat bonuses inside here, they basically increase the more of those duplicates you collect, and the more of these different type of comics you discover, the more your account will get these benefits. So if you look at this comic, for instance, right here, I'm getting a stat bonus of 0.5%. Critical chance, and I can collect these 5 times, right? And it increases the stat bonus. So the more of these I find, the more stat bonuses my count would increase. So you can see how that could get really really crazy, because basically I can go up to maybe like, what is that, like a 2.5% critical chance if I find and collect Thor the God Thunderer, number 3 5 times inside the game, as opposed to someone who might not play as much and they've only collected 1 or 2. It'll be the difference in power levels in my characters, basically. So you have that. The one thing I wish they did with this, and I don't even know if this is something that's possible, but anybody who reads comics knows that the comic industry is going through one of its low points right now, especially with what's going on in the world right now. And what I would love to have happen, or would love to see if they could do, is maybe link these comics to Marvel's database for their digital comics. Maybe even charge people for, make it an in-game thing where maybe you can purchase Marvel's digital subscription and you can click on these comics and then read the comics. The comic can pull up and you can open up the comic book, take a break from the game, and read the damn comic book that you're doing. I think that would be a great way to help the comic industry. I think it'd probably be a great way for readers to become more familiar with the characters and the backstories related to some of the costumes that they're going to put into the game, some of the events they're going to put into the game. It's just something that I really like to see. I'm going to start doing my Marvel Future Fight stuff, and I'm probably going to get into some comic history with some of the characters that they release and show skill power sets and things like that. But I actually love this part of the game. That was one of my favorites, like that skill tree from right to left. I absolutely love that stuff. I am not a fan of the gear system. I'm not. I played Anthem for quite a while. And the main thing that I noticed is that you end up hitting this cap, this wall, where you start grinding for these gears, and you're literally grinding gear that has like incremental differences where it's like, you know, hey, I hit 45 and now it's, you know, I'm looking for that 46, and so I'm just grinding missions over and over to get that from 45 to 46, but oh, I got the 46 one, and then the gear perks don't quite match up with what I want, and then you just kind of, you know, kind of drolls out for you at that point, because you're like, how much of this shit do I really want to invest my time into doing this? But overall, really love those from right to left. The gear system is something I feel like really needs to be paid attention to, because it's one of those things that I feel like is going to really piss off a lot of players. If you've played Anthem, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The next thing is the skill tree. Skill tree, they said there's 3 other pages worth of skills, so I don't know if maybe we're locked out from seeing different varying skills or not, but you know, it is what it is for now. We'll have to wait and see what it is. With Hulk, I'll give you guys a synopsis of this stuff, right? Each character plays differently. So Hulk and Kamala pretty much play closely. They're tank-like characters. It's just the skill animations are a little bit different. For some reason or another, Hulk feels like Kamala should feel, meaning like all his attacks feel really rubbery when they impact. They're not like these thud things. Like when you jump in the Hulk Buster suit for Iron Man, for instance, Hulk has like this, you know, the Hulk Buster suit has this really crunchy feel to it. Like it's like boom, hard hitting impact, thwack kind of shit. When you play as Hulk though, for some reason, everything feels like it's rubber. Like you punch and it almost feels like you're punching like a rubber bag or like a waterbed or something like that. It just doesn't quite feel like Hulk punches something. Like I expect that from Kamala Khan, because she's almost like Stretch Armstrong, Mr. Elastic, or like, you know, Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. And it just feels weird having Hulk feel that way. Now, it even feels the same way when he does some of his skills. Like you can see right here, he has the shatter spin where he picks up a really big piece of debris and he throws it. Is really kind of cool ability. Meteor is like a lower version of that where he just picks it up and throws it, and then you have just Cannonball where it's like a ranged attack where he just throws up a piece of debris. When he picks up these rocks, it just feels rubbery. It doesn't, like, even when he lands, it just feels rubbery. By comparison, you jump in that Hulk Buster uniform, and when he lands, boom, he lands and you feel it's like crush. Even when he takes enemies and he's like grabbing them and sliding them along the ground, you feel that crunch. So it's like kind of weird that Hulk feels that way. But every character feels different, and what it seems like it is boiled down to is the difference in your characters might be dependent upon these skill trees. How much different is going to be questionable depending on the other 2 pages that they release from us. Like I said, Hulk, you know, we only got 15 skill points, so I kind of built out my Hulk as best I could. He seemed highly dependent on Rage, so that means activating Rage along with Tax. That would basically regenerate his health. That would increase the skill damage of the attacks, and so it was largely dependent playing on him as Rage. So he felt like this cool monster. However, the Rage looked really weird. Like, you activate the Rage and all of a sudden he just looks kind of like his hands just kind of look like green fireballs, almost like how Captain Marvel looked inside the Avengers movies, right? Where she just like kind of, her fist just kind of glowed, and that just was like, huh, what the fuck? It's kind of weird. I would have liked to see maybe something where his body got more veiny or something like that to show that he was getting more enraged, but that's not what happened. But the skills are pretty interesting. I mean, the one thing that I have to say about them is that they're really watered down and tone deaf. I'm not gonna bullshit you, right? Like, every character has pretty much the same skill moveset. And what I mean by that is button combination, meaning that you hit triangle, square, you're gonna get this, you know, heavy attack. You hit square, triangle, you're gonna get that. And basically every moveset is just a play off of those, and then in between those triangles, square combo presses, you're pretty much just pressing L1 R1 and L1 and R1 in combination. So there's This is not a high skill game. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not a high skill game. You're basically trying to chain together those type of basic input presses, which isn't a bad thing, because like the thing is that when you are executing these properly, they do create some really amazing set piece moments inside the game. Like if you're inside a battle with Iron Man, Kamala Khan, and Black Widow, and Hulk ends up fighting a Warbot, which are these big ass tank freaking enemies that they designed from AIM, and you get the triangle circle button combination, which is pretty much a takedown, and that animation plays out where you get to see, you know, Hulk jump on somebody, or, you know, something like that. It really lends itself to feeling like you're really in this Marvel universe, and it really feels good. So I really like the skill sets. I'm dying to see what the other 2 pages have. I'm really pissed that I didn't get to play as Thor, because Thor or Captain America actually, because when you load in the first Avengers A-Day mission in this beta and you get to play as Thor and Cap, you're like really salty that they did not include those characters, because for some reason, even with that little time that you had, those characters, man, they feel complete. Thor's hammer abilities feel complete. Cap's shield throw abilities feels complete. His combat abilities feels complete. That crunch and the sound that you hear from Thor's hammer when it hits somebody and then you get to recall the hammer, that feels like Thor. I don't think I've ever played a game where they literally had Thor throw the hammer, you execute the command to throw the hammer, you can run around, do something else while this dude's pinned to a wall, and then recall the hammer on command. That is bar none one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen in a video game, and I'm a huge Thor fan, so that was just amazing to me. Amazing. But you don't get to play as Thor and Captain America, and it really sucks. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. So I'm going to jump into some missions so that way you can kind of see, and I can talk about what the missions is. So like I told you, my one caveat to this is that during this gameplay demo, this beta, we did not get any ability to actually do matchmaking. I think maybe in the whole weekend I got two instances around matchmaking. The good thing
We've
is
identified
that
an AIM facility that is vulnerable to attack.
Play solo.
Though there are still
you don't
security
need
synthoids to contend with,
other players.
we expect the Avengers should be able to easily prevail.
When you have other players,
Take out
but
any
otherwise
AIM
you just
forces
kind
you
of load
encounter.
in with your strike team of your characters, how you built them with the power sets you built. So in that respect, the game can be pretty much single player. One of the major missions that they have you in here was like the set piece moment that they played for during the war table, where Thor's fighting like this big ass Warbot, and I did that one solo. It really wasn't a big deal, but you kind of feel like you're missing out on something.
Head for the location on your HUD.
So this is like pretty much mission 101 right here, and this is going to pretty much be what you are going to see. Is literally the same interiors, it's the same AIM theme interiors, which is just weird. So this is what I mean by the takedowns. Like the takedowns really do create some really high set piece moments. And so you can see you basically run around the map and you're collecting resources just like that. I love that's the meteor attack. I love Hulk's smash that he has right here. And you can upgrade that skill. You can see these little chests that you run around. This is a little cute feature that they have inside it. Instead of bending down to open them, he actually just kicks it open, which is amazing. So if you can see on the middle of the screen, top bar, there's a little green bar there. That's your rage meter for Hulk, and then right above that you have a health. You have a little health bar or whatever. So as you're running around the game, you pretty much just faced with the same kind of little turret enemies. They don't really. They can be annoying, but they don't really do much damage to you. You find these little resource icons, you kind of want to grab those, especially these goddamn nanite resources. They seem like there's not enough of those in game at all. But I will tell you right now, for all the missions that they played inside the game, not even kidding you. I can't tell you that there was much variety for these interiors at all. There is no variety to them whatsoever. It is pretty much the same as set pieces for everyone. I've seen these rooms,
these enemies
walls,
must be defeated.
just so many times. I love the takedowns. Like I said, they create some really good set piece moments. Me smacking people around with Hulk, to me, was just great. But if you can hear it, you get this going. Pow. If you can hear it, you can hear the rubber like this, where it's like boom, 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 boom. It's really weird. Yeah, so what the hell happened to the game? Just kind of locked me in place there for a second. You're kind of greeted with all these health ores. I did try to play the game on hard, and what it seemed like was hard just kind of took away the number of health ores that generated and dropped. So the enemy variety is pretty decent in my opinion, because even though some of the same enemy types are being reused, they're basically reused with modifiers. So it doesn't make them like those those aimbots or those robots. You'll encounter them constantly. It's when they come with the shields and you know that you pretty much have to hit a hard skill that you're like, okay, you definitely need to hit a heavy attack in order to break those shields. The one enemy type that will get annoying is the cryo guys. They are absolutely annoying. The other thing that I had a problem with in terms of the combat was dodge mechanics. So when you're playing as a character like Hulk and Kamala Khan, who are supposed to be tanks, it's kind of really weird to think about the dodge mechanic. What the fuck is... When have you ever seen Hulk dodge some shit? Like, that's not Hulk's character type. So I don't know why they did that and they have it there. Like, it's weird because Iron Man, instead of just having just a dodge mechanic, he also instead of just having a dodge mechanic, he also has a block mechanic. I'm like, bro, why the hell didn't Hulk just have a block mechanic where he puts his hands up in front of him? Weird, but that's the game design choice that they made. Don't quite understand. Now you can see Hulk has like this really nice green glow, like it's like the gamma radiation is just burning right. That is awesome looking. But when you first activate it, you see it's kind of just glow green, a la Captain Marvel, and it's just weird. This is a whole bit thing that's weird for me too, to see Hulk like kind of sky dancing, I call it, where you jump in the air and you can do attacks, and he just kind of hovers there. I'm like, dude, this is huge. Like, will he really fucking be hovering in this game, bro? I don't know. But you can see like these items drop, so there I go with the trigger to dodge. It's a weird ass game. I can tell you right now, I didn't choose any dodge skills because it was like, I'm not dodging this fucking Hulk. I love the takedowns. Takedowns, like, you've seen probably maybe 2 or 3 in this video of the different takedowns, but there are more, I will tell you that. And there are more animations, and they seem situation-oriented, so that's not bad. I like them. But you can see how this mission basically took like, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes or something like that. And so you'll have certain missions like an elimination drop zone or a drop zone mission like this that has just 10-15 minutes. Or you'll have missions that, like, you know, the main aim war bot that exists, and that mission will take you probably about 30-45 minutes. So pretty much like if you play Destiny, you're playing a strike mission. Now, my big complaint about these indoor missions is that for characters like, especially Hulk and Kamala Khan, they just, I don't know, they do something weird. So I don't know if this is just for the beta or maybe it's for them. I hope this is something that they're going to carry over into the game, because I feel like this will help them generate content in the future by allowing us to rate the experience with certain missions, so that way they know, hey, we really weren't digging that, and maybe they will start building more missions. Like, I can be honest with you, I did not like rerunning these small drop zone missions. Yeah, I don't know, they were just kind of boring to me, to be honest with you. Never really got to see the aspect of it. But like you can see right here, like from that mission, I didn't really get shit. I got some, like, you know, resources or whatever. So like I can level up this skill now to see this one, or I can choose this one right here. Let's just say I just actually switch it over, right? And now here goes the problem with a game design system like this, right? Where I'm literally inside here, and you can see I've got an epic gear inside here, but then I got a freaking blue gear inside there as well. So I got my rear gear. But I'm going to level this one up so that way you can see it. So I can level up twice, and now that basically unlocks another skill, and you can see heavy power attacks now trigger a burst of plasma damage, right? And now if I unlock the next skill, I also get 1 power point up. If I unlock the next skill or the next level, I get a boost as well for increase to heroic charge when rage is active. Now, underneath Hulk's skill tree, there was one ability that I thought about getting, which is this one right here, where it says Unbearable Might increases all damage while rage is overcharged. I never really had my rage overcharged. Like, to be honest with you, never really had it. You were just using it so constantly that I didn't have that opportunity. But basically, that's how the missions go. And the missions that they gave us in game, unfortunately, to me, they're pretty much all the same. Same interiors, same exteriors. Jungle city or city or jungle exterior, and then go into a bunker unless it loaded you directly into a bunker. And then you can see these little codex files and stuff like that that you have. Now, I don't know what I get when I fully unlock an entire codex. I might play some more today as the beta finishes, but I'm not really quite feeling like I need to, especially because I know these are not carrying over with me, so that kind of sucks. But the mission, so I'm gonna choose another one, so that way you guys can kind of see, and then we'll kind of drop things off from there. So I did that mission, right? Let's go with Alpha Threat Training Complex, right? So I'm not even gonna bother with trying to matchmake, because it's just absolutely terrible. Just absolutely terrible. What I'll do though is I'll switch from Hulk to Iron Man, so that way you guys can see those. A lot of people were saying Hulk felt really slow and he didn't feel that good. To be honest with you, I liked Hulk. I like playing Hulk a lot more than Iron Man.
Intel provided by our friends at S.H.I.E.L.D. has revealed the location of an elite AIM squad.
Hulk's movesets.
We have an opportunity to take them out before AIM can deploy the squad against the resistance.
Really cool to me.
This is a quick hit-and-run operation.
Iron Man has
take
a
out
ton
the
of
targets
uniform
and
looks
return
that are
to
really
us
cool.
unharmed.
He actually has a rare uniform that I think they designed themselves. I think not the Apogee one, but it's one that he designed themselves. I can't really remember which one it is, but I actually like it better than the original Sin uniform that they had listed as a legendary uniform. Again, I don't know why they have different tiers and skills like that.
An elite AIM team is close by.
You can see this is a different area.
Updating your HUD.
But you can see, oh yeah, it's the same resources. Really haven't changed much. Really haven't changed much. It is what it is. Iron Man has a couple of different skills that he can use. So he basically has his repulsor rays, and then he has his lasers, and then he has his. So what does that mean? Basically, that's two things that you have Iron Man doing, right? You basically have repulsor rays, which are long range. Then you have lasers, which are close range, and then you have the missiles or rockets, which are pretty much out medium range, right? So Iron Man basically can hover, but he moves really goddamn slow when he's hovering, right? And I want to show you guys something that I didn't understand. Why in the frick I did this to Iron Man? It just didn't quite make sense to me. When you use Iron Man's skills, you can see there's an energy bar up, and that energy bar will go out eventually. And now I can't use any of my lasers. I'm not sure where they got this idea of Iron Man basically needing to recharge energy, but it's there. And I'm also not going to sit here and say that I fucking read Iron Man comics quite a lot. Tony Stark has never been one of my favorite characters, other than in the movies, but I don't know why they did it, but they did it. Whatever. It is what it is.
Every member of the elite team
so you can see again, once again, we have basically the same mission type inside here. So Iron Man, like I said, basically has the 3 skill trees. You have his repulsor rays, his laser beams, and then you have his smart rockets. With this beta, you basically were able to unlock all of those skill trees unless you tried to unlock his dodge attacks. Again, I didn't really feel like the dodge attacks were quite necessary. And then everything else is pretty much the same. The thing that's really cool about Iron Man is his freaking cosmetics. Like, you have the original Sin one that's here, and it looks dope to me. But he has one to me that looks better, and that's this intergalactic one. It kind of reminds me a lot of War Machine, but I really, really dig it. I even like his Apogee uniform, which kind of looks like Rescue's uniform, or Pepper Potts' uniform if you watched Avengers Endgame. So he has quite a lot of looks inside here, and at first glance they might look like it's just color reskins until you actually look at some of the detail on some of the uniforms, and then you notice, no, these aren't color. These are more than skins. They're actually different outfits, and they're pretty cool. And like I said, some of the detail that goes into some of the emotes are really cool. Like Iron Man malfunctioning his uniform, that just looks cool to me. His paparazzi, you know, I'm having pictures taken. This one I can see being used. I don't know why you would use the malfunction one, but these are really, really cool. And like I said, the really cool part to them is that each character has this little battle pass challenge card where all of these things can basically be unlocked in the game. So it's really, really cool. I don't know how much those challenge cards are going to cost, or if they're going to cost anything at all. If you got to pay for a battle pass per character, that might get really overwhelming. So I hope that's not the case. Now, flying with Iron Man feels pretty cool, and if you played Anthem, you're definitely gonna get this same kind of, you know, feeling of, you know, if anybody who played Anthem knows, yeah, this is gonna be, you know, I wish this was Iron Man flying around because that's basically what Anthem felt like. But it does feel weird flying in these closed-in spaces. Just not my thing. To be honest with you, it's weird. But Iron Man's attacks, his blasters and stuff like that, I'll give them credit where they feel very good. Just really good. Whether you're using his lasers, whether you're using his blasters, they just feel really good. Let me see if I can get enough energy going here to really kill everything. So we have to summon this Hulk Buster, because the Hulk Buster is pretty much the star of the show with Iron Man in terms of his skills. Now, the really, oh shit, it went down. The really, really cool thing with Iron Man's Hulk Buster thing is that they actually made it in such a way that anyone can use it. So you don't have to actually be Iron Man to use Hulk Buster. It gets summoned, and Iron Man basically summons it to the field. Anybody can go over to his uniform. Anybody can go over to his uniform and basically jump into the suit. I thought that was a great little detail. To me, it's just hard. I'm just gonna be honest with you. To me, that was just awesome. That little detail on that thing was just. Oh, I'm really expecting this precision here, so I'm getting quite a bit of gear from this here. Don't look like I'm good focus. Now, you are basically generating you are generating more energy depending on the combo and skill sets that you use. You will see this kind of thing happen a lot with enemies, even your own players will get hung up on stuff. Kind of does
the team are no longer a threat.
But yeah, so I didn't get the Hulk Buster. There you go. That's pretty much the mission right there. And you know, like I said, it could be 10, 15 minutes, or it could be 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. Overall, where do I rate the gameplay experience for Marvel Avengers Beta?
Good job, Avengers.
I'm going to say
with
that
this
I would probably
victory,
give the game
you've weakened AIM and
if
given the Resistance
Anthem,
a leg up.
You've probably played
Keep it
this
up.
game. Don't be enamored by the skin. It's a Marvel property, but make no doubt about it, this is pretty much Anthem's core design concept and gameplay. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's definitely more polished, so you're not going to have some of those things. My big question for the game going forward is, how often are we going to be getting new characters? Because regardless of whether there's 100 missions, if these missions all feel the same, and I'm going to be playing high-level missions of these or whatever repetitively in order to level up my character, at some point you're going to hit a cap with all of these characters in their gear, and you're not going to want to get into this gear grind where it's literally increments. Destiny's going through that, and people are complaining about it with Destiny. Anthem went through that, and it wasn't enough gear, but it was, even when they added more gear drops, it was still, nobody wants to be involved in that little minute gear grind. So at what point are you going to get there? And so when you do hit that cap, the only refreshing value to the game is whether or not there's new characters. Now, Marvel has a rich history of characters, so it's not like they have any, you know, there's not going to be any limitation on that shit. I mean, you've got, like, I play Marvel Future Fight, and they've got over 205 characters inside that game now at this point, and it's been 5 years. So you could release more characters, but at some point we have to be able to say when the game is going to hit these points. So especially as a live as service games, they plan on plenty of years to come. I will say this much: the iconic missions per character that they had, we only got to really play Hulk's iconic mission, which you end up fighting through and going through a gamma, trying to defeat some, you get to fight Abomination, and then you go inside like trying to stop a gamma facility from creating any more Hulks. And it felt really cool. It felt good. It felt like it had a progression to it, and it really, really felt tight with the story happening around you. It was still the same damn environments. So that's the question. But it felt refreshing and it felt good. So I'm looking forward to this game. You know, we've got but 23 days. I don't know why people have in their minds that something's going to change about the game. It's 23 days, people. The finishing touches have already been put on a product. The game is where it is. So if you played Anthem and you want to play a more polished version of it, this is a game for you. That's the game for you. I really, really like the character skill sets. I'm dying to play as Thor, and I'm dying to play as Captain America. I could care too less about Black Widow, Kamala Khan, Hawkeye, and I'm a slightly Spider-Man fan. If they release Michael Turner's Iron Spidey, I will fucking lose my shit, and I'll probably just exclusively play Spider-Man. But we'll see. I would die for Heralds of Galactus, Thor, and I would easily drop $10 for any one of those uniforms. So I'm dying to see how the shop is going to be monetized for the live service, and I'm dying to see what the larger game is going to look like in terms of content and environment variables. You know, this could be AIM facility because we're over here in this part of the world, and maybe when we go to another part of the world like Wakanda or something like that, the interiors look completely different. We go to South America and the interiors and stuff like that look completely different. I'm hoping that's the case because every game is the same repetitive type thing, the same repetitive map layouts, but it's just how that map layout ends up changing to keep your mind thinking that it's doing something different and it's engaging you in a different way. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough review, and I hope that you guys look forward to playing this game as much as I have. If you didn't get to jump in for the PS4 open beta, pre-purchase beta, make sure you jump in next week. PS4 is getting it free, and it's an open beta for PS4 players, closed beta for PC and Xbox, and then the week after that it's open beta for everyone. So make sure you get some time to jump in and try it out, and I hope that you guys enjoy the game and the review. Until next time, I'm Darkside.